chilling crimes that shook small-town America. From a horrific murder in a small town to a series of mysterious disappearances, here are 5 chilling crimes that shook small-town America. Number 5. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders. In 1946, a young woman was found brutally murdered in Texarkana. Number 4. The disappearance of Maura Murray. In 2004, a 21-year-old nursing student from UMass Amherst went on spring break to visit her boyfriend in Vermont. While there, she got into a car accident, which she survived. However, she never made it to her boyfriend's house. Her car was found abandoned on the side of the road and her cell phone was found on a bridge nearby. A massive search effort was organized, but there was no sign of the missing woman. Some believe that she may have been abducted, while others believe that she crashed her car intentionally and then walked into the woods and somehow survived. Unfortunately, the case remains unsolved to this day. Number 3. The murder of JonBenet Ramsey. In December 1996, the world was shocked when the body of a young beauty pageant contestant was found in her family home in Boulder, Colorado. 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey had been strangled with a garrote, and a large amount of cash had been stolen from the house. While the police suspected that an intruder was responsible for the crime, JonBenet's parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, became the prime suspects after it was discovered that they had taken out large life insurance policies on their daughter. Although the case remains officially unsolved, many people believe that JonBenet's parents were responsible for her death. And just recently, a new DNA test actually managed to clear the young girl's brother, Burke Ramsey, of suspicion. Number 2. The West Memphis Three. In 1993, 3 young men from West Memphis, Arkansas, Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly Jr., were convicted of murdering 3 8-year-old boys. The evidence against them was largely circumstantial, but the prosecution argued that the trio had committed the murders in a ritualistic satanic ceremony. Despite the lack of evidence, the men were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Many people, including celebrities like Natalie Maines from the Dixie Chicks, have long campaigned for the men's release, arguing that they were wrongfully convicted. In 2011, the men were released after serving 18 years in prison. However, to this day, it is still unclear whether or not they are guilty. Number 1. The Beaumont Children Disappearances. On January 26, 1966, 4 siblings from Adelaide, Australia, went to the beach. 3 of the children, 9-year-old Jane, 7-year-old Arne, and 4-year-old Grant Beaumont, never came home. Despite an extensive search, the kids were never found, and the case remains one of the most famous missing person cases in Australian history. The last confirmed sighting of the children was on that day at Glenelg Beach. Witnesses reported seeing the kids playing near the water's edge, and some even reported seeing a suspicious-looking man in the area. However, despite numerous reported sightings of the children over the years, none have ever been confirmed, and the case remains unsolved to this day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like. Until next time.
There are some mysteries that the authorities just can't explain. From strange creatures to unsettling disappearances, these mysteries have baffled even the brightest minds. Join me as we delve into 3 unsolved mysteries the authorities couldn't explain. The vanishing hitchhiker. On July 1946, 2 friends, Earl Nelson and Fred Franks, were driving along a deserted stretch of highway in California when they decided to pick up a hitchhiker. The hitchhiker, a young woman, had a suitcase and was reportedly wearing a red dress and high heels. Despite the unusual attire, the men offered her a ride. However, things took a strange turn when the woman asked them to pull over at a secluded gas station. As Earl went inside to pay for gas, the woman vanished from the car. Fred, who had been driving, claimed he had no memory of the incident and only realized the next morning that the woman's suitcase was missing. A search was conducted, but no trace of the woman was ever found. This case remains one of the most famous vanishing hitchhiker mysteries, and has inspired numerous theories, including the woman may have been a victim of foul play, could have run away, or possibly never actually existed at all. Some believe she was a ghost who regularly haunts the highway, appearing to unsuspecting drivers before disappearing into thin air. The Loretto hanging in December 1899, a horrifying scene unfolded in the small town of Loretto, Ohio. Two farmers, John Renner and his son-in-law, Thomas Wilbright, were found hanging in a barn with a rope around their necks. The position of the bodies suggested a double suicide, but there was a twist. The rope was too short to have been used for both men, indicating that one of them had died by hanging while the other had been strangled. What made this case even more perplexing was the lack of a murder weapon and the absence of signs of a struggle. The community was baffled. Theories abounded, ranging from a love triangle to a robbery gone wrong. But no one could say for sure what had transpired in that barn. The case remains unsolved to this day, leaving behind more questions than answers. Did the farmers take their own lives? If so, how did the second death occur? Or was there an unknown assailant lurking in the shadows? The truth remains hidden, buried alongside the victims in the cold, hard ground. The Mary Celeste. In 1872, the mysterious disappearance of the crew of the Mary Celeste ship left the world in suspense. The Mary Celeste, also known as the Amazon, was an American merchant ship that set sail from New York to Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of industrial alcohol. However, the ship arrived in Genoa without its crew, having sailed for nearly 2 weeks without any recorded activity. The ship's captain, Benjamin Briggs, his wife, and their 2-year-old daughter, along with 7 crew members, had vanished without a trace. When the ship was discovered, it was in good condition, with the provisions still on board and the cargo untouched. There were no signs of distress or a struggle. Theories about the crew's disappearance have ranged from piracy to mutiny, with some even suggesting the crew encountered supernatural forces. However, despite numerous investigations, none of these theories were substantiated. The mystery of the missing crew remains one of the most intriguing maritime enigmas of all time. What happened to the crew of the Mary Celeste? Did they abandon ship, fall victim to piracy, or were they taken by something more sinister? Perhaps the truth lies beneath the waves, lost forever. These unsolved mysteries continue to captivate our imaginations, reminding us of the strange and unexplainable aspects of our world. From the eerie tale of the vanishing hitchhiker to the perplexing Loretto hanging and the haunting mystery of the Mary Celeste, these cases have stood the test of time. What are your thoughts on these unsolved mysteries? Share your theories and join the conversation. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button for more captivating content. Thanks for watching.
I asked a social media platform for people to share their stories of the paranormal, of ghosts they've seen or encountered. And you guys delivered. You sent me dozens upon dozens of ghost stories. And some of them were so compelling that they brought me to tears. Others made me laugh out loud. And some were downright terrifying. Here's just a sampling of what you shared with me. When I was 19, I was working as a waitress in a local restaurant. It was an old building, and there were always cold spots and doors opening and closing by themselves. One night I was closing, and I had to clean out the walk-in cooler. As I'm cleaning, I hear chains dragging metal moans. I get out of the cooler, and I see this guy in an old-timey prison uniform dragging himself closer and closer to me. I scream, and I run out of the kitchen. To this day, I don't know if it was a ghost or a really messed up practical joke, but either way, I quit the next day. Courtney, age 32. Okay, here's another one. My mom and dad owned a home in Niagara-on-the-Lake, a very historic town. The home was built in 1840 and is now a heritage building. Many years ago, my sister and I heard footsteps above our heads when we were the only ones in the house. It sounded like someone was walking back and forth directly above where we were sitting. We never saw anyone. We were probably 6 and 8 years old at the time. This happened a few times over the years. Then one day while exploring the attic, we found a loose floorboard. The footsteps would often sound like footsteps right above where we were sitting. The floorboard creaked just like a person walking. We never told our parents about the noise because we were scared and didn't want to upset them. But after discovering the floorboard, we nailed it down so the sound wouldn't echo throughout the house. No more footsteps. Maybe it was a ghost, maybe it was just the house settling. Either way, the footsteps stopped. Anonymous. All right, this next one comes from Maria. I was babysitting my neighbor's 3 kids. They were playing outside and I was watching them from the window. One of the girls came up to me and said, "Mommy's outside." I looked and there was a woman standing on the sidewalk across the street. I asked who she was, and the girl said she was talking about her mother. At that moment, the mother came out of the house and asked if everything was okay. I told her what the girl had said, and the mother's face drained of color. She whispered, "She's dead," and called 911. I learned later that the woman had died of a heart attack 5 years prior. Maria, and here's one more from Anonymous. I used to work at a hotel in high school. One night I was alone at the front desk, and I heard loud footsteps coming down the hallway. I assumed it was a guest, and I went to the camera to check. It was a little girl in a Victorian nightgown. She walked right through the wall and disappeared. I quit the next day. Well, I thought those stories were scary. Wait till you hear these terrifying ghost stories. Scary ghost stories from around the world. Part 2 is available now on another channel. There's a link to it in the description below. Now, these are just a few of the many ghost stories you shared with me. I loved reading every single one of them. I wish I could have included them all in this video, but there simply wasn't enough time. So if your story didn't make it into this video, please know it wasn't because it wasn't great. There were just too many amazing stories to choose from. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd love to have you here. And remember, stay curious. Thanks for watching. These true stories are terrifying. One night I was watching TV in my living room when I heard a knock at the door. I ignored it, assuming it was just the wind. Then it happened again. Knock, knock, knock. I went to investigate and found this. A package had arrived for me. I opened it up and inside was a book. And on the cover of the book was my name. I had never seen this book before in my life, but for some reason it was addressed to me. I started reading it, and it was a story about a man who received a package in the mail that contained a book. And on the cover of that book was his name. And he started reading it, and it was a story about a man who received a package in the mail that contained a book. And on the cover of that book was his name. And he started reading it, and it was a story about a man who received a package in the mail that contained a book. And on the cover of that book was his name. Here are some scary true stories from America that will haunt your nightmares. In 1974, a young woman named Donna Anderson disappeared from her home in Ohio. Her husband, Ronald, told the police that she had gone to visit her mother, but her mother had no idea that she was missing. Days later, Donna's body was found in a shallow grave in a nearby park. The coroner estimated that she had been dead for at least 3 days. But here's where it gets creepy. The police soon discovered that Donna had been strangled with her own hair, and when they asked Ronald if he had anything to do with her death, he replied, "I don't know what you're talking about." He then proceeded to make a full confession, admitting that he had killed Donna after she had tried to leave him. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. In 2007, a man named Jason Arno robbed and murdered a gas station attendant in South Carolina. He was caught on camera wearing a Halloween mask while committing the crime. But here's the thing. Jason wasn't wearing the mask to conceal his identity. He was actually trying to scare the attendant so that he would confess to a crime he didn't commit. After the attendant refused to cooperate, Jason shot him in the head and then put the gun to his own head and pulled the trigger.